There is a terrifying and beautiful secret hidden in the silence of the night, a truth so massive that we often walk right past it without a single glance. Have you ever truly stopped to consider the violence of the stillness? Stand on the edge of the shore in your mind for a moment. Look out at that vast, endless expanse of black water. It looks peaceful, doesn't it? But it is a lie. That water is not resting. It is being hunted. Right now, at this very second, while you lie there in the safety of your bed, a force of unimaginable power is reaching down from the cold vacuum of space, grabbing hold of the entire ocean and physically lifting it into the sky. It is a ghost hand, invisible and silent, clawing at the skin of our planet, dragging trillions of gallons of water toward a rock floating 239,000 miles away. It is pulling on the ocean, and it is pulling on the fluid in your own cells, a cosmic magnetism that dictates the rhythm of life itself. We think of the ground as solid and the sea as level, but nothing could be further from the truth. We are trembling on a tightrope, caught in an eternal tug of war between the crushing gravity of the earth and the hypnotic, silver seduction of the moon. The ocean is not just water. It is a creature trying to escape, rising up, desperate to touch the sky, only to fall back down in exhaustion. This isn't just physics. It is a love affair so intense it bends the shape of the planet. And tonight, you are not just a witness to this drama, you are a part of it. Welcome to the Theory of Silence channel. Before we surrender ourselves to the mercy of this cosmic rhythm, before we let the tides wash away the debris of your long day, I ask you to gently press the subscribe button. By doing so, you help us continue to weave these tapestries of quietude, ensuring that this sanctuary of sound and story remains here for you, night after night. Thank you for being here. Now, let the weight of that realization settle. Let the shock of our cosmic insignificance fade into a warm, comforting blanket. If we are so small, then our worries are even smaller. Let them go. Let us rewind the clock to the moment before the drama begins. Let us go back to the twilight. The day does not end all at once. It surrenders. I want you to visualize the sky as it was a few hours ago. The sun, that great burning tyrant of noise and demand, has finally dipped its head below the horizon. It is the death of the day, but it is a beautiful death. The sky is bruised with color. Streaks of violent violet, deep crimson, and burnt orange are smeared across the western edge of the world like oil paint on a canvas that is slowly being covered by a heavy, velvet cloth. This is the hour of the hush. You can feel the heat leaving the air, can't you? The day held a fever, a frantic energy of traffic, of voices, of emails, of expectations. But as the blue deepens into indigo, the fever breaks. The earth exhales. You are standing on a shoreline that stretches infinitely to your left and right. The sand beneath your feet is no longer burning hot. It is cool, firm, and forgiving. It holds the memory of warmth, but it offers the comfort of the coming night. I want you to walk with me now, down toward the water's edge. Feel the sensation of the sand grains shifting under your weight, massaging the soles of your feet. With every step, you are leaving the structured world of concrete and steel behind. You are walking toward the primordial, the ancient, the true face of the planet. Listen. Do you hear that? The world is turning down its volume knob. The chaotic frequencies of the daylight hours are dissolving. In their place comes the true soundtrack of existence. It is not silence, not exactly. It is a presence. It is the sound of the atmosphere settling. As the last remnants of light fade, the stars begin to puncture the darkness. They don't turn on like lamps. They reveal themselves, shyly at first, Venus hanging low and bright, then the belt of Orion, and finally, the faint, dusty smear of the Milky Way. They have been there all along, watching you, waiting for the sun to leave so they could speak to you in their language of flickering light. Look at the water. Before the great breath of the tide begins in earnest, there is a moment of profound stillness. This is the silver stillness. The sea is a sheet of obsidian glass, polished and perfect. It is so calm that the horizon line disappears, merging the black water with the black sky until you cannot tell where the earth ends and the universe begins. It is a void, but it is a womb-like void. It feels safe. It feels like a pause in a piece of music, that suspended second before the pianist strikes the next chord. The water is waiting. It knows the moon is coming. It knows its mistress is about to crest the horizon. Imagine yourself lying down now, not in your bed, but there, on the driest, softest part of the dunes. The sand molds to the shape of your body, supporting your spine, cradling your neck. You are perfectly safe. You are warm. The air carries the scent of salt and iodine, a clean, sharp smell that clears your lungs and slows your heart rate. You are looking up, and then it happens. The great change. Over the watery edge of the world, a glow begins. It is not the harsh, attacking light of the sun. It is a soft, milky luminescence. The water begins to shimmer, catching the light before the source is even visible. And then the rim of the moon appears. It is huge tonight. A supermoon, heavy and gold at the horizon, bleaching into a brilliant, perfect silver as it climbs the ladder of the sky. This is not a dead rock. Stop thinking of it as a satellite. Look at it with the eyes of your ancestors. It is a watcher. It is a guardian. As its light spills across the ocean, it creates a pathway, a road of glittering diamonds that stretches from the horizon straight to your feet. It feels personal, doesn't it? No matter where you move on the beach, that path of light follows you, tethering you to the sky. This is the invisible tether becoming visible. Under this silver gaze, the world changes texture. The harsh lines of reality blur. The shadows are not scary, they are soft, blurring the edges of the driftwood and the dunes. The light is cool, washing over you like a spectral bath. It feels hypnotic. You can't look away, and why would you want to? In this light, there are no deadlines. There are no bills to pay. There is only the rhythm. And now the water responds. This is the beginning of the miracle. The force I spoke of earlier, that terrifying gravity, is now acting with the gentleness of a mother lifting a child. The ocean is waking up. It is not a mechanical process, it is organic. It is a respiratory system. The earth is a living body and the ocean is its chest. And under the command of the moon, the chest begins to expand. Can you feel it? The air pressure shifts slightly. The sound of the ocean changes from a distant murmur to a rhythmic pulse. Swish. Pause, swish, pause. It is the heartbeat of the world. The water is losing its flatness. It is swelling. It is not just waves crashing, it is the entire level of the sea lifting up. It is rising to meet the moon. It creates a sensation of suspension in your mind, a feeling of floating. Think about the water molecules, countlessly shimmering out there in the dark. They are being pulled, summoned, invited to a celestial dance. They climb over one another, sliding effortlessly, urged onward by that silent call from above. "Come closer," the moon whispers. "Come up to me." And the water obeys. It always obeys. It has obeyed for 4.5 billion years, and it will obey long after we are gone. There is such comfort in that consistency. In a life full of unpredictability, full of broken promises and changing plans, the tide is the one thing you can trust completely. It will never fail you. It will never forget to rise. It will never forget to fall. It is the ultimate constant. As you lie there in your mind, feeling the coolness of the spectral light on your face, I want you to visualize that connection. Imagine a silver thread attached to the center of your chest, running up through the atmosphere, connecting you to the cratered surface of the moon. You are weightless. You are part of this system. You are not an observer separate from nature. You are woven into it. The same iron that is in the core of the earth is in your blood. The same water that swells in the Atlantic is in your cells. You are a miniature ocean encased in skin, and you too are subject to the gentle pull. Do you feel a heaviness in your limbs? That is the gravity doing its work. It is anchoring you to the earth while your spirit floats with the tide. Your eyelids are heavy, so heavy. They feel like lead, or perhaps they feel like sea stones, smoothed by centuries of gentle tumbling, resting over your eyes to shut out the world. Let them close. There is nothing to see now but the darkness of your own inner ocean. The silence here is not empty. It is thick. It wraps around you like a heavy quilt. The only sound is the rhythmic advance of the water, creeping slowly, inch by inch up the sand. It doesn't rush. Nature never rushes, yet everything gets accomplished. Why do we rush? Why do we run when the moon and the sea achieve such greatness by simply drifting? Tonight we stop running. Tonight we drift. The stillness of the silver light has penetrated your mind. The chaotic thoughts that were buzzing like flies have been silenced. They have flown away, fearful of the dark, leaving you in this sacred, quiet space. You are alone with the moon. You are alone with the deep, unfathomable intelligence of the water. This is the sanctuary of the night. It is a kingdom where the currency is rest and the law is relaxation. As the moon climbs higher, casting its pale net over the world, the ocean prepares to take its deepest breath. It is a slow inhale, a gathering of strength, a swelling of purpose, and you are breathing with it. With every rise of the water, you inhale peace. With every retreat of the foam, you exhale tension. In and out, rising and falling. The world is not a solid rock, it is a cradle. And tonight, under the watchful, loving eye of the moon, that cradle is rocking you, gently, slowly, back and forth. The silver stillness has washed over the land, extinguishing the fires of the day, leaving only the cool, damp promise of a long, dreamless sleep. The stars are the only witnesses, and they have vowed to keep your secret. You are safe here. You are held here. The night has only just begun, and the ocean has many stories to tell. But for now, in this first chapter of the dark, there is only the stillness. The beautiful, heavy, silver stillness. As the silver light establishes its quiet dominion over the shoreline, revealing the world in shades of indigo and mercury, we begin to sense that this illumination is not merely a passive glow, but the visible signature of a much deeper, far more mysterious connection. It is easy to look at the moon hanging in the sky, that solitary, pockmarked stone, and think of it as far away, detached, a lonely wanderer in the cold cathedral of space. But as you lie there, cradled by the cooling sands of the earth, you are about to discover that distance is an illusion. For there is a bridge between here and there, a bridge not made of steel or stone, but of a force so fundamental it holds the very universe together. Let us speak of this force, but let us not use the cold, clinical language of textbooks. Let us not call it gravity tonight. Gravity sounds like a burden. It sounds like something that pulls us down, that chains us to the floor, that makes our bones heavy and our feet tired. No, tonight, let us reimagine this force for what it truly feels like in the dark theater of the cosmos. Think of it as a tether. Think of it as a longing. Think of it as an invisible hand, outstretched across 239,000 miles of emptiness, offering a touch that is both firm and infinitely gentle. We are taught that space is a vacuum, a place of nothingness, but this is not quite true. The space between the Earth and the Moon is thick with relationship. It is charged with a silent conversation that has never ceased, not for a single second, in billions of years. Imagine, if you will, that the Earth and the Moon are two dancers in a grand, darkened ballroom. They are caught in an eternal waltz, a spinning embrace that requires perfect trust. If they were to hold on too tight, they would collide, ending the dance in catastrophe. If they were to let go, they would drift apart into the lonely, freezing void, lost to one another forever. So they found the balance. They found the perfect distance. It is a relationship of tension and release, a cosmic promise to stay near, to keep watch, to never leave. And you, resting here on the surface of the larger dancer, you are feeling the effects of this partnership. You are in the middle of this silent tug of war. But it is not a war of aggression. It is a war of affection. The moon is not trying to tear the earth apart. It is trying to bring it closer. It is whispering across the void, "I am here." And the earth, in its grand geological slumber, feels that whisper. Visualizing this tether can be a deeply soothing experience for the mind that is weary of chaos. In our daily lives, connections are often messy. They are frantic strings of text messages, tangled wires of obligations, the noisy static of social demands. But the tether of the universe is clean. It is pure. Imagine it as a beam of faint, translucent energy, like a violin string stretched taut between the center of the moon and the center of the earth. It vibrates with a low, inaudible frequency, a hum that resonates in the bedrock, in the magma deep beneath your feet, and most importantly, in the water. Water is the great listener. The rocks are stubborn. They resist the moon's call, shifting only slightly, barely acknowledging the pull. But the water is compliant. The water is free. When the moon passes overhead, creating that invisible mountain of gravity, the ocean does not resist. It surrenders. It allows itself to be lifted. This is the definition of the tide. It is the ocean's attempt to fly. It is the sea trying to bridge the gap, rising up in a great, fluid yearning to reunite with its partner in the sky. I want you to let that image wash over you. The ocean is not just sitting there, it is reaching. It is defying the heaviness of the earth to stretch toward the heavens. And because you are here, lying on the edge of this great reaching body of water, you are part of the ascent. Think of gravity now not as a weight, but as a suspension. When you float in a pool, you feel lighter, yes. The water takes your burden. But tonight, the moon is doing the same thing to the entire ocean. It is alleviating the weight of the world. It is pulling slightly upward, counteracting the heavy drag of the planet's core. In a very real, physical sense, you are infinitesimally lighter when the moon is high above you. The universe is lifting you, just a fraction, just enough to unhook the heavy anchors of the day. This invisible tether acts like a magnet, but soft. Imagine a magnet that doesn't snap metal together with a violent click, but rather one that influences through a pillow, a soft, muted attraction. It strokes the surface of the planet. As the Earth spins beneath the moon, a rotation that takes 24 hours, it is as if the planet is passing under a massaging hand. The moon presses here, pulls there, kneads the oceans, keeps the waters circulating, keeps the lifeblood of the world moving. Without this massage, without this constant, gentle manipulation, the oceans might stagnate. The world might fall into a coma, but the moon ensures that the earth never truly sleeps a sleep of death. It sleeps a sleep of rhythmic restoration. There is a profound safety in being held by such a system. We spend so much of our waking lives trying to hold things together ourselves. We grip the steering wheel, we clench our jaws, we hold onto our money, our status, our relationships. We are exhausted from the effort of holding. But here, in this story, under this sky, you don't have to hold anything. The holding is being done for you. The gravity that keeps the atmosphere from drifting away, the gravity that keeps the moon from wandering off, the gravity that keeps the ocean in its bed, it is all operating without your help. It is a giant, invisible safety net. You can let go of the controls. The universe has the wheel. Consider the softness of this force. We often equate power with noise and violence. Engines are loud, storms are loud, explosions are loud. But gravity, the force that moves quintillions of tons of water, is silent. It is the strongest thing in the night, yet it makes no sound. It is a ghost force. It passes through the roof of your house, through the ceiling, through the blanket, and holds you to the mattress. It passes through the deepest trenches of the Marianas, through the hull of a ship, through the heart of a whale. It is everywhere, permeating everything, a binding agent of love that says, "You belong here." The dance continues. The earth spins, presenting a new face to the moon every hour. And the moon, faithful as ever, reaches out with that invisible tether to stroke the new patch of ocean. "Come to me," it says to the Pacific, and the Pacific rises. "Come to me," it says to the Atlantic, and the Atlantic swells. It is a never-ending game of call and response. It is a celestial lullaby sung not with words but with motion. Feel yourself becoming part of this motion. If the water is being pulled and your body is mostly water, then the cells in your body are hearing the call too. The blood in your veins, the fluid in your spine, they are microscopic oceans, and they too feel the faint, distant tug of the moon. You are tidal. You are not a static object. You are a fluid creature living in a fluid world, swayed by the same forces that govern the tides. This realization should make you feel expansive. Your boundaries are dissolving. You are not ending at your skin. You are connected to the dune you are lying on, which is connected to the beach, which is connected to the sea, which is connected by that silver thread to the moon. You are part of a massive, silent clockwork mechanism, and every gear is turning smoothly, oiled by the darkness, moving with a precision that no human machine could ever replicate. Imagine that invisible tether now, gently wrapping around your waist, or perhaps cradling the back of your head. It is not pulling you up to space, it is just supporting you. It is taking the weight off your shoulders. It feels like being in a hammock that is swaying gently in a breeze that isn't there. Swaying, drifting, floating. The concept of down becomes less important. There is only here. There is only the sensation of being suspended in a web of invisible forces, all of them benevolent, all of them conspiring to keep you safe and balanced. The waltz of the earth and moon is slow. It is agonizingly, wonderfully slow. It takes a month for the moon to circle us. A month. Think of how many frantic things we do in a month. We rush, we worry, we age. And all the while, the moon has made only one single, leisurely loop. It refuses to hurry. It teaches us the grace of slowness. Tonight, we adopt the moon's pace. We slow our breathing to match the orbit. We slow our heartbeat to match the turning of the tide. We are entering a state of weightlessness of the soul. The worries that felt so heavy in the sunlight, the anxieties that weighed tons in the afternoon, are now subject to this new gravity. They are becoming lighter. They are unmoored. The tide is coming in, lifting the boats off the sand, and it is lifting your burdens too. They are floating away, bobbing on the surface of the dark water, drifting out to sea where they can dissolve into nothingness. You don't need to carry them. The water will carry them for you. The moon will pull them away. This invisible connection is the reason the night feels different than the day. During the day, under the sun, we feel pressed down, exposed, examined. But under the moon, connected by this tether, we feel elevated. We feel secretive and sacred. The air feels thinner, more rarefied. The connection between you and the cosmos is clear, unblocked by the noise of photons from the sun. It is just you and the silent pull. So, as we prepare to watch the water physically respond to this call in the next chapter of our night, rest in the knowledge of the tether. Know that you cannot fall off the earth. Know that you cannot float away into the void. You are held. You are perfectly balanced in the hands of giants. The earth holds you from below, warm and solid. The moon holds you from above, cool and inviting. You are sandwiched between two great loves, two ancient parents of rock and gravity, and they are rocking you to sleep. Let the feeling of the tether settle into your bones. It is a feeling of belonging. You belong to this system. You belong to this rhythm. The silence is not empty. It is the holding breath of the universe, waiting just for you to close your eyes and trust the dance. If the invisible tether is the promise between the earth and the moon, then the rising tide is the fulfillment of that vow, the moment when the silence transforms into motion. We move now from the feeling of connection to the majestic reality of the ocean's response, witnessing the planetary chest begin to rise in a slow, deep breath that will sustain the world for the next 6 hours. The water is no longer waiting. The change begins imperceptibly, so subtly that if you were merely glancing at the shore, you might not notice it at all. It starts not as a wave, but as a swelling, a gradual fattening of the sea. The line of foam that marked the boundary of the dry sand is pushed forward, just an inch. Then it retreats, but when it returns, it claims another inch. It is a polite conquest. The ocean is not invading the land, it is embracing it. It is as if the water is remembering the shape of the shoreline, tracing the curves of the bays and the jagged edges of the cliffs with a lover's touch, returning to places it left only hours ago. This is the great inhale. I want you to close your eyes and picture the earth as a living, breathing entity. The trees are its hair, the soil its skin, the magma its blood, and the oceans. The oceans are its lungs. Just as your chest expands when you fill your body with air, the ocean is expanding now. It is taking a deep, restorative breath. It is drawing in the energy of the night, pulling the horizon closer to the shore. The low tide was the exhale, the emptying out, the deflation. But now we are filling up. We are witnessing the world taking in oxygen, life, and space. Listen to the change in the soundscape. At first, the sea was a distant hush. Now it is finding its voice. It is a fuller sound, richer and deeper. As the water level rises, it begins to interact with the architecture of the coast. Listen to the specific music of the rising tide. There is the slap of water against the base of the wooden pier pilings, a rhythmic, wooden hollow sound. Slosh, slosh, gentle and persistent. There is the sound of water filling the empty spaces between the rocks, a gurgling, musical bubbling as the air is pushed out of the crevices to make room for the sea. It sounds like the earth is drinking. It is a sound of thirst being quenched. The dry barnacles, closed tight against the sun, now open their shells to the cool embrace of the rising salt water. The dried seaweed, which lay flat and brittle on the stones like parchment, begins to lift, to rehydrate, to float and dance again like emerald ribbons in the current. Life is returning to the edges. This process of filling is incredibly soothing to visualize. Think of the hidden caves along the coastline, dark and empty during the afternoon. Now, the water is sliding into them. It creeps over the cool stone floors, filling the dark chambers with swirling, foamy energy. It rises up the walls, dampening the moss, turning the acoustics of the cave from a dry echo into a wet, heavy resonance. The ocean is tucking the land into bed. It is pulling a heavy, liquid blanket up over the shoulders of the shore. The jagged rocks that looked sharp and dangerous in the daylight are being submerged. The water softens everything. It hides the scars of the geology. Under the high tide, the world becomes smooth, rounded, and safe. There are no sharp edges in a world covered by water. There is only the curve of the surface, reflecting the moonlight. As the moon climbs higher towards its zenith, the pull intensifies. The chest of the world expands further. You can feel this expansion in your own body. If you match your breathing to the visualization of the tide, you will find your own lungs opening wider. Inhale. Imagine the water rushing into a dry estuary, filling the winding creeks of the salt marsh. Hold it, feeling the fullness, the abundance of the water. Exhale, letting the tension float away on the surface. The tide brings a sense of plenty. It is the opposite of scarcity. It is a reminder that there is always enough water, enough air, enough space. The ocean doesn't ration its water. It gives everything to the shore, holding nothing back, flooding every inlet and harbor with its generosity. Imagine standing on a dock now, looking down. An hour ago, the water was far below, exposing the muddy, weed-covered legs of the pier. But now the water is close. It is rising to meet you. It is lifting the boats. Think of the heavy fishing trawlers and the small sailboats that were resting awkwardly on their keels in the mud. As the great inhale continues, they begin to shudder, then rock, and finally they float. The water takes their weight. It shoulders the burden of the heavy hulls so they can become weightless. This is what the tide does for us, spiritually. It lifts the things that are grounded. It takes the heavy thoughts that have run aground in your mind and floods them with perspective, lifting them up until they can drift away. You don't have to carry the boat. The ocean carries the boat. You don't have to carry the worry. The tide carries the worry. The water is now claiming the beach. The sand castles built by children earlier in the day are being reclaimed. The tide does not destroy them with anger. It dissolves them with patience. It smooths the sand back into a pristine, flat canvas. It wipes the slate clean. This is the forgiveness of the tide. Whatever footprints were left, whatever mistakes were drawn in the sand, the rising water washes them away. It resets the world. By tomorrow morning, the beach will be new again. The high tide is a nightly baptism, a cleansing ritual that ensures we never have to live with yesterday's marks forever. There is a powerful sense of momentum in this rising. It is slow, yes, but it is unstoppable. It creates a feeling of inevitability that is strangely comforting. In a life where we often question what will happen next, the tide offers a guarantee. It will rise. The water will return. It is coming closer to the dunes, closer to the grass, closer to where we are lying in our minds. But it is not a threat. It is a gathering. It is the moon gathering her children. Visualize the water climbing the face of a cliff. The waves are not crashing violently, they are surging. They move up the rock face like a hand sliding up a wall, leaving a trail of dark wetness, then sliding back down, only to reach higher on the next attempt. Higher and higher. It is an aspirational movement. The ocean is trying to climb out of its bed to touch the sky. It is a display of yearning. We are all yearning for something, for peace, for rest, for connection. And the ocean acts out this drama for us every night. It reaches and reaches, driven by the gravity of the moon, filled with a purpose that it does not need to understand to obey. The air around you feels different now. With the rising water comes a cooling breeze, pushed ahead of the tide like a herald. The smell of the ocean is stronger, cleaner. It smells of deep water, of salt crystals, of the mysterious deep blue places where the sun never shines. The great inhale brings the essence of the deep ocean right to your doorstep. It brings the coolness of the abyss to temper the heat of the land. As the tide approaches its peak, the feeling of fullness becomes nearly physical. The bays are brimming. The rivers that feed into the sea are backed up, swollen with the incoming salt water. The world feels pressurized, but in a good way, like a hug that is tight and secure. The earth is holding its breath. The lungs are full. The water is touching the grass line now, tickling the roots of the dunes. It has covered the intertidal zone completely. The crab burrows, the clam beds, the starfish clinging to the rocks. They are all comfortably underwater, breathing easily, swaying in the gentle current. They are safe. The arrival of the water is their arrival of safety. They can open up. They can feed. They can live. You are safe too. The high tide creates a barrier between you and the world out there. You are on an island of your own making, surrounded by the protective moat of the high water. Nothing can reach you. The water stands guard. Let yourself feel this expansion. Your chest is the bay. Your breath is the tide. You are filling up with tranquility. With every second that passes, the water gets deeper, darker, and quieter. The noise of the shallow water, the splashing and the tumbling of pebbles, begins to fade as the water deepens. Deep water is silent water. The surface creates a ceiling over the world below, muffling the chaos. As the ocean inhales, it creates a sanctuary of depth. We are approaching the top of the breath, the moment of maximum capacity. The water is heavy, swollen with the light of the moon pressing against the land with a gentle, insistent weight. It is a feeling of completion. The journey from low to high is finished. The work is done. The destination has been reached. There is no more striving, no more climbing. The water has arrived. It hangs there, suspended by the moon, a shimmering, liquid jewel held up to the light. In this state of fullness, there is no room for anxiety. Anxiety requires emptiness to echo in. It requires a void to fill with worry. But here, everything is full. The creeks are full, the caves are full, the harbor is full. Your mind is full of the silver light and the black water. You are sated. You are complete. The great inhale has expanded your soul, stretching out the cramped corners of your mind, washing out the dusty recesses of your thoughts. You are now a vast, calm inland sea, mirroring the stillness of the moon above. Hold this feeling. Hold the breath. Feel the glorious, heavy saturation of the moment. The earth has inhaled. The ocean has risen. And now we wait for the turn, suspended in the beautiful, watery embrace of the high tide. And just as the chest reaches its fullest expansion, just as the lungs of the world have taken in every possible drop of the ocean's breath, something miraculous happens. the movement stops. This is the moment of the great pause, the suspended second in eternity where the tide is no longer coming in, yet it has not begun to go out. In the language of the sea, this is known as slack water, but that term feels too loose, too careless for something so exquisitely tense with perfection. It is not slack, it is poised. It is the moment a pendulum reaches the absolute apex of its swing. That split second where gravity and momentum cancel each other out, and the heavy brass weight hangs weightless in the air before beginning its return journey. The ocean has climbed the invisible staircase of the night, step by laborious step, and now it stands on the landing, breathless and triumphant, looking out over the world it has conquered. We have spent hours watching the water approach, listening to the rhythmic assault of the waves, feeling the energy of the rising deep. But now, the energy shifts. It changes from kinetic to potential. The aggressive sound of the incoming tide fades away because the water is now so deep, so full, that the waves no longer break. They have swallowed the obstacles that caused the noise. The rocks that churned the water into foam are buried deep beneath the surface. The sandbars that trip the waves are drowned in silence. The ocean has smoothed out the roughness of the shoreline, creating a surface of unparalleled glass. This is a quiet that feels heavy. It is a thick, velvet silence that presses against your eardrums, shutting out the world. The urgency is gone. The rushing is over. The great oceanic machine has come to a halt, and in this stillness, the boundary between the earth and the sky dissolves completely. Look at the water now. It is a mirror of absolute clarity. Because the current has stopped, the silt settles. The confusion of the stirring sand drifts back down to the seabed, leaving the water crystal clear. It becomes a liquid lens. The moon, high and bright above, is no longer just in the sky. It is now buried in the ocean. A perfect twin, a shimmering clone of the lunar face, floats on the surface of the dark water. The stars are there too. Constellations that have burned in the vacuum of space for billions of years are now caught in the net of the sea. It is a vertigo-inducing sight. If you were to stand at the edge of the pier now and look down, you would fall into the sky. Imagine the tension of the surface water. It is brimming. The water has filled every crevice, every tidal pool, every marshy inlet to the absolute brim. It touches the very tips of the dune grass, wetting the roots but not toppling the stems. It is a display of incredible restraint. The ocean is vast and powerful, capable of crushing cities, yet here it is, kissing the delicate blades of grass with the tenderness of a dewdrop. It pushes right up to the edge of the dry land and stops, held there by the precise mathematical balance of the universe. It is a full cup that does not spill. This state of equilibrium is rare. In our lives, we are almost always coming or going, rising or falling, winning or losing. We are rarely just being. But the ocean teaches us here that the most powerful moment is the moment of stillness. It is the moment of total possession. The ocean owns the shore right now. It occupies every inch of space it is allowed, and it sits there, heavy and regal, enjoying its fullness. Visualize the sensation of floating in this slack water. If you were a boat, you would not be pulling against an anchor. The chain would hang straight down, motionless in the deep blue. You would not drift toward the beach, nor would you drift out to sea. You would hover. You would exist in a state of perfect neutrality. This is the feeling I want you to find in your body right now. Find the neutral space. You are not fighting to stay awake, and you are not fighting to force sleep. You are just drifting on the surface of the moment. You are buoyant. The heavy gravity of your responsibilities has been neutralized by the buoyancy of the night. You are weightless. There is a profound sense of unity during high-tide slack water. The struggle between land and sea has ceased because they have become one. The jagged coastline is softened. The separation is gone. It brings to mind the concept of the oceanic feeling, a psychological state where the ego dissolves and we feel limitless, unbounded, connected to the whole. Tonight, the geography itself is experiencing this. The distinction between solid and liquid is blurred. The land is saturated, the sea is stabilized. They are locked in a deep, wet embrace, pausing to breathe together before the cycle reverses. Let's go deeper. Imagine what is happening beneath that glassy surface. Down in the kelp forests, the swaying has stopped. The long, green fronds of seaweed, which usually dance frantically in the current, are now standing straight up, suspended in the quiet water like pillars in a cathedral. The fish, too, sense the change. The frenetic energy of feeding slows down. There is a pause in the predator-prey relationship. The ocean holds its breath, and all the creatures within it float in suspension. It is a global truce, a moment of silence observed by trillions of living things. This moment of slack water is the threshold of the deep sleep. It is the hypnagogic state of the planet, that fuzzy, warm, heavy transitional state where you are not quite awake, but not yet dreaming. You are hovering on the precipice of the subconscious. The world is waiting for the signal to release, but the signal hasn't come yet, so we wait. And in the waiting, there is peace. Can you feel the fullness in the atmosphere? The air itself seems denser, richer. The humidity has risen with the water, creating a cushion around you. It dampens sound even further. If a bird were to call out now, the sound would not carry. It would be absorbed by the heavy air and the heavy water. But there are no birds. They are asleep. The crabs have retreated into the mud. The wind has died down, respecting the stillness of the water. It is just you, the silver light, and the brimming ocean. There is a majestic heaviness to high tide. It feels permanent, doesn't it? When the water is this high, covering the scars of the beach, it feels as though it will never leave. It feels like this is the natural state of the world, submerged, quiet, bathed in moonlight. It is a comforting illusion. We know the water will recede, but for now, we are allowed to believe in the permanence of this peace. We are allowed to believe that the noise of the world has been drowned out forever. Think of the energy required to hold this much water in place. It is a static hold. Like a weightlifter holding the bar at the very top of the press, locked out, motionless. The muscles are shaking slightly with the effort, but the weight does not move. The moon is holding the ocean up. Feel that support. The universe is exerting a tremendous amount of energy just to keep this moment still for you. It is holding the water back so you can rest. It is balancing the forces of the cosmos so you can have this moment of absolute silence. You can rest your mind on the surface of this water. Imagine your thoughts are like leaves falling onto that glass-like sea. They don't sink. They don't float away. They just land, creating the tiniest ripple that expands outward in a perfect circle, wider and wider until the ripple smooths out and disappears. The thought is gone. The surface is smooth again. Another thought falls, ripple, expand, disappear. The slack water accepts everything and returns to stillness. It is the ultimate absorber of disturbance. In this pause, time seems to dilate. Seconds stretch into minutes. The ticking of the clock becomes irrelevant because the ocean doesn't wear a watch. It only knows the rhythm of the celestial bodies. We are currently in the space between the ticks. We are in the gap. The ancient Greeks had two words for time, chronos, the ticking time of man, and kairos, the deep time, the time of moments. Slack water is kairos. It is deep time. It is a vertical drop into eternity rather than a horizontal march toward tomorrow. The moon looks down at her handiwork. She sees her own face reflected in the dark mirror she has created. The connection is complete. The tether we spoke of earlier is tight and humming with power. The cycle has reached its zenith. The chest is full. The lungs are expanded to their limit. This is the peak of the mountain of water. You are sitting on the summit. The view from here is serene. You can see the curvature of the earth in the line of the water. You can see the grand design. There is no chaos here, only order. Only the sublime, terrifying, beautiful order of gravity. As we linger in this suspended state, allow your own body to mimic the ocean. Let your muscles go slack. We use that word for a reason. To go slack is to release tension. The rope is no longer pulling. Your jaw goes slack. Your shoulders drop. The muscles in your legs, which carry you through the day, uncoil and lengthen. You are floating in the slack water of your own consciousness. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to achieve. The tide is high. The work is done. The pause is profound, but it is not empty. It is pregnant with the promise of release. Just as the inhale must eventually become an exhale, the water must eventually retreat. But not yet. Do not rush the release. Savor the hold. Savor the fullness. Savor the feeling of being filled with the liquid silver of the night. The world is still. The water is still. You are still. We are hovering together in the velvet void, held by the gentle hand of the moon, waiting for the turning of the tide, but perfectly content to stay right here in this beautiful, breathless pause for as long as the night allows. But even the most perfect stillness cannot last forever, for the nature of the universe is movement. And just as the chest must fall after rising, the ocean now begins its long, slow surrender back to the deep. We have held the breath of the high tide for what feels like an eternity, suspended in that glassy, swollen moment of perfection. But now, gravity gently loosens its grip. The invisible hand that was holding the water against the land relaxes its fingers, and the great exhale begins. This is not a sudden collapse. It is a sigh. It is the sound of the earth letting go of the tension it has carried for hours. The water, which had been pressing so eagerly against the dunes, turning every creek into a brimming river and every marsh into a lake, now feels the call of home. It begins to recede. It begins to slide backward, slipping away from the grass, away from the cliffs and away from the shore, retreating into the dark, welcoming privacy of the abyss. Watch the water line now. Moments ago, it was lapping at the dry sand near your feet, confident and high. But look closely. A gap has appeared. A wet, darkened strip of sand is revealed, glistening like a polished gemstone under the moonlight. The ocean is stepping back. It is a slow, respectful withdrawal, like a guest leaving a room quietly so as not to wake the sleeper. Inch by inch, the water pulls away, revealing the world it had briefly claimed. There is a profound sense of relief in this movement. While the high tide was about fullness and potential energy, the low tide is about release and kinetic relaxation. It is the unbuttoning of a tight coat. It is the lowering of heavy shoulders. As you visualize this water draining away from the land, imagine the tension draining out of your own body in perfect synchronization. The ocean is doing the heavy lifting for you. As the water flows out of the estuaries, imagine the stress flowing out of your muscles. As the tide empties the harbor, imagine your mind emptying of its clutter. The world is clearing itself out. This is the time of revelation. During the high tide, the ocean keeps secrets. It hides the jagged rocks, the sandbars, and the kelp forests under a uniform blanket of blue. But as the water recedes, it begins to tell the truth. It pulls back the curtain to show us what lies beneath. And what we find there in the wet, exposed world of the low tide is not scary. It is beautiful in a raw, ancient way. Think of the rocks that are emerging now. For hours, they were drowning, battered by the surge. Now they break the surface, wet and shining, crowned with damp moss and limp seaweed that hangs off them like emerald hair. They look relieved to breathe the air again. The water drains off them in 1,000 tiny waterfalls, trickling down into the pools below, creating a soft, tinkling music that is entirely different from the roar of the incoming waves. Drip, trickle, splash. It is delicate, intimate music. It is the sound of the aftermath. As the tide pulls further back, it leaves behind gifts on the sand. The high tide is a gatherer, but the retreating tide is a depositor. Look at what has been left for us on the damp canvas of the beach. Here is a scallop shell, perfectly fluted, resting upside down, filled with a tiny pool of seawater that reflects a single star. There is a piece of driftwood, smoothed by years of tumbling, shaped like the bone of some mythical creature, now resting peacefully in the sand. These objects have been tossed and turned, carried and dragged, but now, as the water leaves, they are allowed to stop. They settle into the sand. They find their place of rest. There is a specific smell to the low tide. Have you ever noticed it? It is heavier than the breezy scent of high water. It is the smell of the ocean floor itself. It is a rich, biological scent of iodine, of drying kelp, of salt crystallizing on stones, of mud that hasn't seen the sun in weeks. Some find it pungent, but I find it grounding. It smells like life. It smells like the raw, organic machinery of the planet. It is the scent of the Earth's basement, usually locked away, now thrown open to the night air to air out. It feels honest. Breathing it in connects you to the primordial mud from which we all came. The ocean is growing smaller now. The horizon line, which felt so close and looming during the high tide, is pushing away. The sea is creating distance. This distance is comforting. It puts a buffer of wet sand between you and the noise of the waves. The roar of the surf, which might have been loud an hour ago, is softening. It is moving away from you. Listen to it fade. The waves are breaking further and further out, their energy dissipated by the shallow slope of the beach. The sound changes from a crash to a murmur, and then to a whisper. It is the auditory equivalent of a lullaby being hummed softer and softer as the baby falls asleep. The ocean is tiptoeing away. As the water recedes, it exposes the vast mudflats, those flat, featureless plains that are neither land nor sea. Under the moonlight, these mudflats are miraculous. They are sheets of liquid mirror. The water may be gone, but the wetness remains, holding the reflection of the sky perfectly still. You can see the moon down there in the mud, rippling slightly as a breeze passes over the wet sand. It is a doubling of the night. The world feels expansive, open, and empty. We are so often afraid of emptiness in our lives. We try to fill every silence with talk, every room with furniture, every minute with activity. But the low tide teaches us the value of emptiness. The beach is empty now. The water has gone, and in that vacancy there is peace. There is room to breathe. The cluttered, churning energy of the water has moved on, leaving behind a clean slate. The waves have wiped the sand smooth, erasing the footprints of the day, erasing the drawings of children, erasing the tracks of the dogs. It is a reset button. When the sun rises tomorrow, the beach will be pristine, untouched, ready for a new story. But for now, it rests in its emptiness. Visualize the tidal pools that are left behind, isolated pockets of water trapped in the hollows of the rocks as the main body of the ocean retreats. These are little microcosms, tiny universes that have been cut off from the Mother Ocean for a few hours. Inside them, life continues in a state of calm suspension. A starfish clings to the wall of the pool in purple stillness. A hermit crab drags its shell across the sandy bottom, moving in slow motion. The water in these pools is perfectly still, protected from the wind by the rock walls. They are nature's bathtubs. Imagine dipping your hand into one. The water is warmer than the sea. It is silky. It holds the warmth of the sand. This process of retreating, of exhaling, is the ultimate act of trust. The ocean trusts that it will be allowed to return. It does not cling to the shore. It lets go willingly, sliding back into the deep, knowing that the cycle will inevitably bring it back. It doesn't fight the gravity, it rides it. How much energy do we waste clinging? Clinging to people, to memories, to old versions of ourselves. Tonight we learn from the water. We practice the art of receding. We let the emotions of the day drain out of us. We let the arguments, the victories, the failures, we let them all flow out with the tide, watching them swirl away into the dark, churning water, leaving our internal beaches clean and empty. The sand is firm under your feet now. During high tide, the sand was soft and yielding, dry and shifting. But the low tide sand is packed hard by the weight of the water. It is solid. You can walk on it without sinking. It offers support. The world feels more stable now that the water has gone. The line where the sea meets the sky is crisp and far away. The chaos has receded. Imagine the feeling of the sea breeze following the water out. The wind often shifts with the tide. As the water leaves, it draws the air from the land out toward the sea. The breeze is at your back now, gentle and warm, pushing the sea away, encouraging the separation. It strokes your hair, whispering that it is time to rest, time to turn inward. The show is over. The drama of the waves has moved to another stage further out in the darkness. There is a solitude at low tide that is unmatched. The beach feels wider, grander. You are a small speck on a vast plain of wet sand under a vast dome of stars. But you do not feel lonely. You feel expanded. The boundaries of the world have been pushed back. You have room to stretch your soul. The constraints of the coastline are gone. And deep out there, miles away in the dark, the ocean continues its work. It is gathering its strength in the deep channels, churning in the abyss, mixing the nutrients, cooling the planet. It hasn't stopped. It has just moved its office. It is working in the background now, leaving you in the quiet foreground. It is respectful of your need for sleep. The sound is now a rhythmic hiss, barely audible. Hiss, hush, hiss, hush. It is white noise at its finest, random yet repetitive. It creates a wall of sound that blocks out intrusive thoughts. Focus on that distant sound. Try to hear the individual waves breaking half a mile out. They are so small from here. They are like toy waves. They have lost their power to intimidate. They are merely a pulse, a heartbeat at the very edge of your perception. Your body is heavy, like a stone that has been deposited on the beach by the receding wave. You are sinking into the mattress, just as the heavy rocks settle into the wet sand. The buoyancy is gone. Gravity has reclaimed you, but it is a comfortable gravity. It pulls you down into sleep. The tether of the moon is still there, but now it is loose, slacked, allowing you to settle. The water has completed its great exhale. The lungs are empty. The chest has fallen. The world is flat, wet, and silent. We have let go of everything that needed to be let go of. We are empty, cleansed by the salt water and resting on the firm ground of the present moment. The tide is out. The danger has passed. The pressure is gone. There is nothing left to do but to close your eyes and drift in the vast, open space that the ocean has left behind for you. As the water settles into its lowest point, revealing the vast, glistening emptiness of the seabed, and the sound of the ocean fades into a distant, rhythmic hush, we find ourselves in a moment of quiet intermission. The drama of the tides has played out its first act. The great inhale is finished. The long exhale is complete. And now, in this lull, as the wet sand mirrors the cosmos, we lift our eyes from the shore to the sky. For the story of the tides is not merely a dialogue between the water and the shore. It is a grand, silent symphony played by the giants of the solar system. We have felt the pull of the moon, but she does not dance alone. To understand the true depth of this night's peace, we must expand our awareness. We must look past the silver disk of the moon and remember the other great player in this celestial waltz, the sun. Though he is hidden now, sleeping beneath the horizon on the other side of the world, his presence is still felt. Gravity, you see, does not sleep. It does not clock out when the sun sets. Even now, through the thousands of miles of rock and magma that make up the body of the Earth, the sun is reaching out with his own invisible hand, holding our planet in his warm, gravitational embrace. Tonight, we are witnessing a harmony between these two celestial parents. It is a relationship of staggering complexity, yet it results in such simple, beautiful stability. Think of the Earth not as a rock hurtling through a chaotic void, but as a cradle. A cradle requires two hands to rock it effectively, one to push, one to pull. The sun and the moon are those hands. They are the cosmic parents of our world, and the ocean is the child they are rocking to sleep. Sometimes they stand together. On the nights of the new moon and the full moon, the sun and moon line up in perfect formation, a celestial straight line. They pull together, combining their strength, lifting the oceans higher than ever before. These are the spring tides, the breaths of great enthusiasm. But tonight, as we rest in the quiet aftermath of the cycle, we can sense a more gentle cooperation. The moon leads the dance, calling the water to her, while the sun keeps the beat steady from afar, ensuring that the Earth does not wobble, that the orbit remains true. It is a partnership of billions of years, a contract signed in gravity and light that has never been broken. Imagine this mechanism in your mind's eye. It is the ultimate clockwork. It is quiet, oiled by the vacuum of space, turning with a precision that makes the finest Swiss watch look clumsy. Gears the size of stars are turning, and the result is the rhythmic lapping of water against the sand. Tick, tock, swish, hush. It is comforting to surrender to a system this reliable. In our human lives, things break. Cars break down, plans fail, bodies ache. But the celestial mechanics never fail. They are the definition of forever. You can close your eyes tonight knowing with absolute certainty that the sun holds you, the moon pulls you, and the earth carries you. You are the passenger in the safest vehicle in the universe. Let your mind drift upward, floating above the beach, above the clouds, until you can see the earth as the astronauts see it, a blue marble hanging in the velvet dark. From this height, you can see that the tide is not just happening here on your beach. It is a global event. At this very moment, as the water recedes from your shore, it is rushing into another harbor on the other side of the world. As the Atlantic exhales, the Pacific might be inhaling. The planet is breathing in a complicated, beautiful rhythm. The Indian Ocean, the Arctic Ocean, the southern seas, they are all connected. There is only one water. It flows around the continents like blood flowing around organs. When you realize this, you realize you are never truly isolated. The water that just touched your feet has touched the shores of Africa, the ice of Antarctica, the reefs of Australia. By listening to the tide, You are listening to a conversation that the entire world is having at the same time. We are all sleeping under the same blanket, rocked by the same gravity. Think of the energy that is flowing through the system right now. It is massive, yet it is gentle. It is strong enough to move quintillions of gallons of water, yet it is delicate enough not to wake you. This is the celestial harmony. It is power under control. It is strength used for nurturing. The sun could scorch us, but it warms us. The moon could collide with us, but it lights our way. They keep their distance, respecting the boundaries of the earth, providing just enough force to keep the lifeblood of the planet moving. As you lie there, visualizing the invisible lines of gravity crisscrossing the dark sky like the strings of a harp, imagine that your body is being tuned to this frequency. The friction of the day is caused by resisting the natural flow. We swim upstream, we fight the current, we try to force things to happen before their time. But the sun and the moon do not force. They allow. They allow the earth to spin. They allow the water to rise when it is time and fall when it is time. There is no anxiety in orbit. The moon does not worry if she will make it around the earth next month. She just falls elegantly and eternally around us. Adopt that mindset now. Stop driving. Stop steering. Take your hands off the wheel. You are part of the harmony now. You are a note in the song. The gravity that holds the moon in place is the same gravity that holds you to your mattress. You are anchored. You are secure. The concept of time changes when you view it from the perspective of the stars. We worry about minutes and hours. The sun and moon operate in eons. They have been doing this dance since long before the first human looked up and wondered what they were. They watched the dinosaurs roam. They watched the ice ages come and go. They watched the continents drift apart. And through it all, they kept the beat. In, out, high, low. This permanence is a soft pillow for your mind. Your problems are fleeting. Your stress is temporary, but the peace of the rhythm is eternal. You can lean your entire weight against this truth and it will hold you. The solar tide and the lunar tide are mixing in the waters before you. Even though the moon is the dominant force tonight, the sun adds a layer of complexity, a subtle undertaking. It reminds us that there is always help from places we cannot see. Just because the sun is not visible doesn't mean it isn't supporting you. Just because you are in the dark doesn't mean you are without light's influence. The universe is conspiring to keep you balanced. Feel the rotation of the earth now. It is a slow, steady spin, carrying you eastward at 1,000 miles an hour, yet it feels perfectly still. We are spinning out of the alignment with the sun and into the deep shadow of space, but the moon acts as our nightlight, our companion. The spring tides may pull hard, and the neap tides may pull gently, but they always pull. You are never without direction. There is a lullaby in this astronomical reality. It sings of a universe that is not random but ordered. It sings of a cosmos that is not hostile but hospitable. The water moving in the dark is the evidence that the machinery is working. You don't have to check it. You don't have to wind it up. You can resign from your position as the general manager of the universe for the next 8 hours. The stars have the night shift. As we prepare to drift into the final and deepest stage of our journey, let the image of this celestial triangle, Earth, Moon, Sun, settle in your chest. A triangle is the strongest shape in nature. It cannot collapse. You are safe inside it. The water has receded to give you space. The sky has opened up to give you perspective. The gravity has wrapped around you to give you comfort. The harmony is absolute. There are no wrong notes in the sky. Every star is exactly where it needs to be. Every drop of water in the ocean is positioned according to the laws of physics. And you, lying there, breathing slowly, your heart beating in a quiet rhythm, you are exactly where you need to be. You are in alignment. The night is deep now. The connection between the water below and the lights above is vibrant and humming. We have seen the inhale, the pause, and the exhale. Now we see the conductor. The music is slowing down. The tempo is dropping. The cosmic waltz is turning into a slow, motionless embrace. We are ready to let go of the sky, let go of the sand, and drift into the true deep, the deep sleep of the ocean itself. And so, having witnessed the grand choreography of the heavens, having felt the silent, heavy ropes of gravity that bind the solar system together, we gently lower our gaze from the stars back to the stillness of the here and now, ready to surrender to the final act of this nightly performance. The cycle is complete. We have watched the silver curtain rise with the moon. We have felt the earth inhale the ocean in a display of abundance. We have hovered in the breathless suspension of the slack water, and we have released every burden with the retreating tide. Now the stage is empty. The water has pulled back into the shadows, leaving the wet sands of your mind pristine, smooth, and quiet. There is nothing left to watch. There is nothing left to analyze. The physics have done their work. The celestial mechanics have proven their reliability, and the world has settled into a profound equilibrium. It is time for you to do the same. In this final chapter, we stop being observers of the tide. We stop standing on the imaginary dune, watching the water from a distance. Tonight, as the darkness deepens around you, you are invited to dissolve the boundary between yourself and the sea. You are no longer separate from the rhythm we have been following. You are becoming the rhythm. Feel the heaviness of your body sinking into the mattress. This is not just fatigue. This is gravity claiming you, the same loving gravity that holds the ocean in its bed. Imagine that your physical form is losing its solidity. The edges of your silhouette are blurring, softening, melting into the sheets. You are turning into liquid. You are becoming tidal. The blood that moves through your veins is chemically almost identical to the seawater outside. It is salty, it is warm, and it flows. You are a contained ocean, a microcosm of the great deep, and you are finally obeying the call to be still. Visualize yourself now, not on the shore, but drifting out. You are weightless, suspended in water that is the perfect temperature, dark, velvety, and supportive. You are floating on your back, looking up at a sky that has no ceiling. The water holds you up completely. You do not have to tread water, you do not have to swim. You simply have to trust the buoyancy. You are drifting away from the land of doing and moving toward the vast, uncharted ocean of being. The shore is far behind you now. The lights of the cities, the noise of the traffic, the demands of the day. They are all tiny specks on a distant horizon, flickering out one by one until they are gone. You have left the shallows. The shallows are where the water is choppy, where the sand gets kicked up, where the noise is. But you are moving into the deep, and in the deep, there is only silence. There is a concept in the ocean known as the abyssal plane. It is the deepest, flattest, quietest part of the sea floor, miles beneath the surface. It is a place of eternal stillness where the water is heavy and calm, undisturbed by the storms that might rage miles above. Tonight, your sleep is that abyssal plane. Your mind is sinking down toward it slowly, gently, like a leaf falling through water. Down through the layers of blue, down through the indigo, down into the comforting, wrapping blackness. Do not fear this darkness. It is not a menacing dark. It is a restorative dark. It is a womb. It is the color of eyelids closed in heavy sleep. It is the color of peace. In this deep place, there is no sensory input. There is no light to hurt your eyes, no sound to jar your ears. There is only the sensation of being held. The pressure of the water around you is like a weighted blanket, pressing out the anxiety, pressing out the tension, leaving only a core of absolute calm. As you drift, notice your breathing one last time. It has slowed down to match the geological pace of the earth. Inhale, slowly expanding like the rising tide. Exhale, releasing, receding, letting go like the falling tide. You are breathing in unison with every ocean on Earth. You are part of the planetary respiration. This connection means you are never alone in your sleep. You are accompanied by the breathing of the world. The moon high above is your silent guardian. She watches over your drifting form. She does not judge. She does not demand. She simply shines her pale, silver light on the surface far above you, a night light that promises that the order of the universe is intact. You can sleep because she is keeping watch. You can let go because gravity is holding on. Let your thoughts detach from you. Imagine them as bubbles rising from the deep. You are sinking, but your thoughts are floating up. Let them go. Watch them rise, tiny spheres of worry, lists of chores, fragments of conversations. Watch them bubble up toward the surface, getting smaller and smaller until they pop and disappear into the air. You don't need them where you are going. You are going too deep for them to follow. The silence is becoming absolute. It is a thick, luxurious silence. It wraps around your mind like soft cotton. The only sound left is the sound of your own existence, the slow, rhythmic thrumming of your own heart, beating in time with the phantom waves. Thump, thump, swish. Thump, thump, hush. You are drifting into the deep time now. The stresses of today, the schedules of tomorrow, they do not exist here. Here there is only the ancient, eternal present. You are connecting with a stillness that has existed for 4 billion years. Before there were cities, before there were humans, there was this water, and there was this moon, and there was this silence. You are returning to that primordial peace. Feel your muscles unlock. The small muscles around your eyes, the tension in your jaw, the tightness in your shoulders. Imagine the salt water washing through them, dissolving the knots, carrying the stiffness away. You are limp. You are fluid. You are accepting the shape of the bed just as the water accepts the shape of the ocean floor, Complete surrender. We are drifting past the point of return now. We are crossing the threshold from wakefulness into the kingdom of dreams. But these will not be frantic dreams. They will be dreams of water, slow moving and majestic. You might dream of floating in a vast cavern of stars. You might dream of being a whale, gliding effortlessly through the silent canyons of the deep. You might dream of simply being a drop of water, unified with the whole. The tether that connected us to the conscious world has been untied. We are free. We are floating in the velvet void. There is no up or down anymore. There is only here. There is only this enveloping comfort. The ocean has claimed you. Let the final sensations of the physical world fade away. The temperature of the room, the texture of the blanket, they are becoming distant memories. The only reality is the rhythm. In and out, rise and fall. You have become the tide. You are the gentle pull. You are the moon's reflection. As we reach the end of our journey tonight, know that this peace is always available to you. The tide will always rise to greet you, and it will always recede to cleanse you. The moon will always be there, pulling gently on the waters of your soul, reminding you that you are part of something vast, beautiful, and unending. So now, drift deeper, sink further. Let the water take you completely. Let the silence fill your ears. Let the dark fill your eyes, drifting, floating, sinking. Good night to the stars burning in their cold silence. Good night to the moon watching with her silver eye. Good night to the ocean breathing in the dark. And good night to you, voyager of the deep. Rest now, sleep now, deep, deep, sleep.